Okay, based on the etymological or etymological meaning of the word communicare, we discussed that communication is process of sharing information, because communicare means to share. And we realized that communication is not simply sharing of information, but it is also the exchanging of information. Exchange of information. Okay, generally, what do we convey? What do we express? Okay, we discussed that we may express our feelings, ideas, thoughts, and emotions and opinions like this. We may express many things. We may share or we may exchange many things, right? So that's what we discussed. And we discussed that human communication is different from animal communication. Okay, so let us discuss today's topic in detail. What is that human communication and animal communication system? Okay, in communication we discussed that in communication system.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, in communication system we discussed that sounds, symbols, signs are the sources of or means for communicating. Okay, these are the sources for communication. Okay, we may communicate through the sounds, and we may communicate through the symbols or signs and signals also. That's what we discussed in the previous class. And we discussed that for animals there are limited sounds, there are limited number of sounds and a limited signs, we can say. Okay, limited signs. So these limited sounds and signs, with the limited sounds and signs, they could be able to communicate. The animals could be able to communicate. Okay, at the same time, when we discuss, okay, when we discussed that topic, we discussed that, okay, our animal communication is, okay, time bound and space bound. Animal communication is time bound and space bound. Okay, they can't communicate, okay, the things which happened yesterday to the other animals today. They can't convey today to the other animals what happened in the past. Okay, what may be expected to happen in the future. Okay, they are bound to the present only. They are bound to the present only. Okay, so in the temporal, they can't, okay, communicate, but humans can communicate in the temporal space. Okay, another one, spatial. Okay, in this spatial dimension, human beings can communicate, okay, but the animals can't communicate. Okay, so let us understand different modes of communication, right? Okay, if we before understanding that, we have to know what is verbal communication and what is non-verbal communication. Even before that, we should know clearly what is this animal communication and human communication. Okay, basically, communication is a global means through which ideas, thoughts, and expressions are conveyed. Okay, communication is a global means. It is a global means. It is a way globally communication is a way to express or convey our feelings, ideas, and thoughts globally. It is not limited to Kakinada, or it is not limited to AP, or it is not limited to Telugu people. This phenomena, the communication is the phenomena which is globally conveyed. Communication is a global phenomena or a universal phenomena, we can say. Throughout the world, all the human beings may use this this communication system to convey their ideas, thoughts, and expressions. So communication involves, okay, whatever may be the mode, that may be written or oral, that is visual, or that is auditory, whatever it may be. Okay, all the human beings may utilize, or all the human beings may convey through communication system. Okay, so this communication this communication communication involves verbal form and non-verbal form. Communication involves verbal form and non-verbal forms. What is verbal form? In the first semester, we discussed that all the sounds can't be considered as so communication involves verbal form, that is either oral or written form, that involves language. You see, when do we call something as a verbal? If it is related to the language, right? When it is related to the language, that is a verbal form. And still we can find other forms such as non-verbal forms, such as symbols, signs, gestures, and other such ways. Symbols, okay, we know there are many symbols which convey. In fact, there would be no reasonable meaning, reasonable connection between the thing and the symbolic idea or the symbolic expression we connect with that thing. Okay, but we can make it, right? So symbols and signs, there are many signs, our bodily signs maybe, and other signs what we created in a, like tropic signals. Okay, and raising your hand is a sign. Okay, asking for water like this is a sign. Okay, and your bodily expression is a sign. Everything is sign. And gestures, your bodily movements, okay, and other such ways are called non-verbal forms. So in communication, both are important. Verbal and non-verbal forms are important. Okay, so verbal form is possible with human beings. Verbal form is possible with human beings. Okay, it doesn't mean that there is no such form of communication in animals. Even the animals can use sounds. But their sounds can't be developed. Their sounds were not developed into a language. Okay, so animals communicate by the sense of smell, touch, and sound. Apart from sound, from these three, okay, sign, sound, and a symbol. Okay, in this sound and sign are common for this human beings as well as this animals. Okay. So in this animal communication, further we can find two more, that is by smell and touch. The animals can communicate by smell and touch, by smell and touch. Of course, even that touch, the communication early life, that, that is we can say infant. Okay, when an infant can feel, an infant, okay, or a newly born baby, a newly born baby can feel, that touch, and for that touch the newly born baby may react. Okay, of course, even this touch, by touch the communication is possible even in case of human beings also, but it is more comprehensive in animals. Okay, so anyhow, that communication, by the sense of smell, touch and sound is not compared with the human communication system, is not compared with the human communication system, because human communication system is highly sophisticated and systematic, right? So the power of reasoning, and the ability to grasp things differs between man and primates. Okay, between the animals and this human being. Okay, the power of reasoning, and the ability to grasp the things differ. Okay, man has more power of grasping and the ability to grasp, more power of reasoning and the ability to grasp things, but these animals don't have, such a reasonable reasoning, such a reasonable thinking, or rationalist thinking. Okay, so animals have different moods and act according to the environment. Okay, animals have different moods. Okay, based on their moods they may respond to the environment, but we human beings know how to respond to the environment, how to react in a particular situation, but the animals can't have such a discrimination, right? In human evolution of communication system, in this year human evolution, in the history of this humankind, right? Language plays a major role, and it brings about the differences between human and animal communication. Language plays important role. And it brings about the differences between the animal and human beings, between the animals and human beings. The language is an important thing which differentiates man from other creatures, other living creatures. Okay, see, by from the beginning, okay, by making sounds, both animals and human beings can communicate. By making sounds, animals and human beings can communicate. At the same time, by science we can communicate something. No doubt. The fact is that it is inherent capacity. See, if a young child is given an expression, an exposure to grasp a particular language, to grasp a particular language. Or if an young child is exposed to a particular language, then he or she can learn or can master the language easily. He or she can master the language easily, but the animals can't grasp like that. The animals. So, the students here, we can understand that, okay, he or she can master the language so easily. This proves that the ability they have, the ability that human beings have, okay, that ability they have inherited it from their genes. They inherited it from their genes, from their forefathers, from their fathers. Okay, it comes. Okay, the language comes to the human beings as a legacy, right? Okay, it is a genetic source. We can say it is a genetic source. At the same time, it is not negligible. The fact is not negligible that even with our effort, we can learn a different language, which may not be a genetic, For example, your family members can speak Telugu. Your father or your grandfather, let us suppose he might have known English language also. Okay, if you wish to learn Hindi, you can learn. Okay, you need not have it genetically. Okay, even the researchers prove that. Anyhow, the first language, the capability to acquire the first language is surely genetical. It is surely genetical because it is inherited by birth. It is inherited, right? So, yes, students, here we can understand that animal communication is totally opposite to that of a human system of communication. Animal communication is totally opposite to that of the human communication system. Okay, in many ways, it is totally different. It is totally different. Okay, animal communication is visual communication. Animal communication is visual communication, right? Of course, human communication is also some part visual communication. Of course, there are different modes. Okay, in case of animals, of course, by making sounds they can communicate, but most of the communication may happen in case of animals and other creatures other than these human beings. Okay, most of the communication is limited to visual communication. Most of the communication is limited to visual communication because by seeing the other animal, by seeing the other bird, one bird or one animal can communicate with its neighbor. Okay, so here we should understand that. That's why we discussed that space bound. Their animal communication is space bound. Okay, they should have eye-to-eye contact. Then only most of the cases, when there is eye-to-eye contact, then the communication is possible. The communication is possible. Okay. Though most of the communication is visual communication for the animals or for other creatures, it is not negligible the fact, that even by making sounds they can communicate. By making sounds they can communicate, right? So the various activities or signs that are performed by the animal, including its behavioral characteristics, called as a display type of visual communication. You know, in case of sounds, they can communicate from some distance without looking at each other, without having some eye contact. But in case of the various activities, in case of various activities or signs that are performed by the animals, you know, when by seeing other dogs, okay, a dog may move its tail. A dog may move its tail. Okay, toka ఊపుతుంది, right? Okay, some animals, okay, not only animals, even some birds also move their tail, okay, by looking at other animal or other bird. Here, what can we understand? Such activities should be visualized. Such activities should be understood by watching those activities only. Okay, those activities and signs that are performed by the animals and other creatures can be understood by visualization only. That's why most of the communication of animals is visual communication. Not only the not only the animal communication, even in case of human beings, in case of face-to-face communication, this visualization plays important role, because based on your body language, we can say your gestures of your body, okay, the meaning may be conveyed. Based on that, the meaning may be conveyed, right? So the various activities or signs that are performed by the animals, including its behavioral characters, called as a display type of visual communication. You know, sometimes our characters may be expressed in our behavior. Our characters may be known by our behavior, right? By the words. Generally, character may be understood by the words of the person and by the actions of the person. Okay, so the characters, okay, by the behavioral character, they may communicate something. By behaving in different modes. Okay, you see, the male bird may attract female bird, or the female bird attract male bird by doing some activities, you know. So in such a way, if you see the hens and other animals, we can find how they attract each other, how they communicate. In case of the children, if they are in threat, how they used to make it. Okay, so here we can understand that, dear students, we can understand that, okay, here in this way, in this performance, okay, you see, when we speak something, we call it as linguistic performance. Okay, in the same manner, these animals and other creatures, they may perform by something, and by performing something they may communicate. By performing something they may communicate, short, right? So animals therefore see signs visually, and this communication is best when the animals are close together. Okay, animals therefore see signs, okay, the signs the other animals can make. okay, or the activities other animals can conduct or perform. Okay, so animals therefore see signs visually, and this communication is best. This communication is best when the primates are close together. When those two objects, when those two, both the speaker and listener, okay, both animal that is performing and the other animal which is watching, if they are close together, if they are close together, if those two animals are close together, then surely that communication may be best. That communication may be best, right? Dear students, here you should understand the fact that, okay, the more they are close, the more they are close, and the more the communication is effective. Okay, the more they are close, the more their communication is effective. Okay, here you should understand that communication made by touch is called tactile communication. Okay, remember this word, tactile communication, T-A-C-T-I-L-E, tactile communication. The communication made by the touch is tactile communication. Of course, if you are interested, you can conduct a research in that field also, tactile communication. Already some research was conducted and some ideas or facts were revealed by the researchers. Okay, so communication made by the touch is called tactile communication. Even since the infant is born, even since the infant is born, touch continues to play a fundamental role in communication till the first year of life, till the first year of human life, till the first year, up to completion of first year of human life. Okay, this touch, the communication through this touch play an important role or fundamental role. Okay, see, 6 months baby or 4 months baby, or we can say 8-month baby. Okay, they may hold our finger strongly, you know, they may hold our, if we offer our finger like this, they may hold strongly that finger. By that touch, something is communicated. They may feel something, that children may feel something, right? So we need to communicate with each other in every possible way. We need to communicate with each other in every possible way, either verbally or non-verbally, to satisfy our goals and tasks. Try to understand this point, dear students. We need to communicate with each other in every possible way. Whatever the possible way, in that way we can communicate, because we need to communicate. Whatever the way, we can utilize that way and we can communicate. Okay, now we have mobile phones. Earlier we have postcards. Even before that, we have other means of communication. Okay, in the times of kings, they used to send the message by using a bird. Okay, by sending a bird, okay, by knotting some slip to the leg of the bird, they used to convey, they used to send the message. Okay, so whatever may be the possible way to communicate, in that way we can communicate. Okay, either verbally or non-verbally, to satisfy our goals and tasks. Okay, anyhow, we should whatever may be the means or whatever may be the way we may select to communicate, finally we have to succeed in our communication. What is communication? Okay, in what we have to succeed? We have to succeed in sharing information. We have to succeed in receiving information. Both should be done. Okay, sharing as well as receiving. That's what we can say, exchanging of information. Okay, dear students. So in such a way, we need to communicate with each other in every possible way, either verbally or non-verbally, to satisfy our goal and task. Okay, so today we discussed that. Okay, animal communication. In the previous class, we discussed that animals have sounds and signs to communicate. In this class, today's class, even we discussed that animals can communicate by smell and touch. Animals can communicate by smell and touch. Okay, so this system of animal is different from the system of human communication. Okay, the only thing is that the language which was used or which was developed, okay, by the human being, okay, became, okay, a major factor or a major turning point in human life. Okay, now we realize that we can realize that without that language we can't communicate. Without language we can't communicate successfully. Of course, without language we can communicate something, but that may be blur, that may be not clear. But when you use the language, surely it may be very clear. Surely it may be very clear. So here you should understand that the animals have limited communication. Okay, limited sources to communicate. Okay, even of course, as there are some researchers who study this non-verbal, or especially the animal communication. Okay, even they proposed. Okay, something may be systematic. But all the thing is not systematic. Okay, so as in case of human beings, okay, the animals also know the course, know the sounds, because those sounds or those course are known by both parties. Okay, if I utter the word elephant, that must be known by the both parties. Both the speaker and listener. In the same manner, the animals, okay, both the sender of the message and the receiver of the message. Okay, surely they may have some knowledge on that sound. Those animals may have some knowledge on those sounds. Based on those sounds, surely they can be communicate. Okay, with these remarks, dear students, I would like to conclude as we have only half minute. Okay, so